Just kidding.
Oh,
Welcome back to the Always Right podcast. I'm author Carissa DeLay and my co-host.
Jamie Vendera.
And we have a special guest with us today, one of our very own from Vendera Publishing, author Miss Kathryn Horsley. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, we're excited.
Yep, I'm very excited.
All right, so we're going to try to have a limited amount of squirrels so that way Katie doesn't get all consumed by our squirrelness. I keep saying Katie, I'm sorry. I need to remind myself her name is Kathryn Horsley, the author. Yeah. I'm getting too casual here, okay?
It's okay. I go by all kinds of names. It's okay.
As long as they're polite, right?
Yes, right.
All right, so let's start off with the one and only question that we should ask everybody: what made you decide you wanted to be an author?
Well, I don't think I really had much choice. I was always really active imagination when I was a kid, and I played Barbies till I was in my teens because I like to tell stories. They always play in my head like a movie, and I needed an outlet for that. So when I got kind of embarrassed about playing with dolls still as a teenager, I quit. But I didn't have an outlet. So I started telling stories to my niece and nephew. And then my nephew kind of encouraged me to write them down. So I moved into writing screenplays because it's really quick, easy, fast way to write your idea. Didn't really do anything with those. But then one day I decided I was going to write an actual book, which I really didn't think I could do. And I just sat down and started it.
And it wasn't anything to do with Barbies.
No. It'd be a very dark side of Barbie because
so like knowing you, I feel like she played with little voodoo dolls or something. But
well, I was very surprised. I was surprised you said you played with Barbies because you don't like vampires that glitter, but you.
Well, Barbies can be anything they want to be. That's the whole.
No, I mean the movie did tell us that
they can be vampires.
Okay. Yeah, but I guess I didn't see that one coming. I didn't see the Barbie part coming. So tell us about your book. Like, so you decided to write this first book. How did that come about? What inspired you from the inspiration to page? What was that got you that far?
Well, actually, one of the screenplays I wrote, there was a character in it that was reading a book. And I thought, I want that book to be a real book. And kind of thought about how that would look. And then one day I was sitting there kind of running storyline and dialogue in my head. And I thought, oh, that sounds really good. So I just typed it up. And it's the very first paragraph in the very first book.
Oh, that's very cool. I
did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. So, so when you were writing, so you have your books behind you.
Yep.
For the people who are not able to see it, you can go to our YouTube channel and see her stuff. But yeah, she has some pretty cool covers.
Yes, they're pretty awesome. 3 of 5.
Yes.
Correct.
The 4th will be out in print in March.
Good.
Nice.
So that's my new goal.
I know a publisher. I'll reach out to him for you.
What are you talking about? She's already one of our authors.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was talking about myself. So I gotta know though, why vampires? And I'm like, even the name, like the main character's name, Nicholas Ryder. I'm like, it just resonates with me. Just the name. What if you were into Barbies and telling stories? What led you down this path? Was it all because it was just that was the book and the screenplay, and you're like, well, I might as well go that route?
Well,
or what?
I really like supernatural and horror stuff anyway. And my Barbies lived a very not pink life. Some of their storylines got a little.
Yeah, the goth Barbies.
A little teen, a little out there. Not something I would expect my 8-year-old to be doing. So, some of them, the storylines already kind of got a little amoral in some areas. And, but I've always really enjoyed vampires and werewolves, especially, and ghosts and fae and magic. So that's what I generally read. So that's kind of the stories that most often were in my head. But a lot of my screenplays are rom-droms.
Or
Really?
what?
Rom-droms.
Uh,
Romantic, dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my
hey,
segue from Barbie into.
there's nothing wrong with that, though. You know, you could that could be what's next on your list. I write in all these genres except rom drums, and I love vampires and
Yeah.
werewolves. I'm surprised I haven't written in that genre, but I wrote about werecats. So you know the playing field is wide open. So there may be like Kathryn Horsley and vampires. Like, oh, this one's going to be on Hallmark. You never know.
Well, I don't know about that one.
Oh, so it's a little racy.
It's a
So
little racy, yeah, and it's hard to put it on Hallmark because you can't use the same actor because they all die.
yeah, this is true.
They get
Well, you
killed.
say that, but then there's Lacey Chabert or whatever her name is. She's every
Yeah.
character in every Hallmark movie, so she just reincarnated every
Yeah.
Christmas.
Hey, I'll tell you what though. Tell you what, I've never been a Hallmark movie person, but I did go down like this whole Netflix series of Hallmark style things. I was like, we had to play clean stuff at the salon in the back room. And the best thing was those Christmas movies where it was like love stories. I'm like, and then sometimes if I had a client processing, I'd sit there and be like, "Oh, the prince and the peasant are going to get together."
Yep.
Yeah, but you're eventually like, oh, I've already seen this. Oh no, it's a different movie. Oh, it's the same. It's the same
Different visual
scenario.
characters, same story,
Yes.
different characters. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
it's in a different city.
Pleasantly predictable. It's still good.
Sometimes it's nice to be watching something that's safe instead of watching something you're like, oh, this is going to lead me down some anxiety trail.
Right.
Well, let's talk about your series because you are a little racy writer. When Twilight came out, everybody blew up and was writing vampire books.
Yeah.
And I think what drew me to yours is it was quite a bit different. And then I liked, of course, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I'm kind of glad it was kind of set back in the day. So, it's like, that's cool. So tell us a little bit about the overall arc.
So it's in first person. It follows the main character, which is Nicholas Ryder. He is a vampire. He's dark. He is not broody. And he's fully embraced being a vampire. He's kind of arrogant, kind of chivalrous, but that causes him a lot more harm than good. He gets himself in a lot of situations he has to try to get himself out of. But because it's written in first person, it draws the audience in to this world that's full of dark, carnal desires and violence, and his self-satisfying behaviors, because he has plenty of them. But he is a character that you probably shouldn't like, but you really just do. He's really great. But the overall series follows him through several different decades. The first one's in the 40s during World War II, and then there's one in the 90s, and they keep going. But there's a lot of lies and deceit and lots of things you got to figure out, secrets about his past that he's trying to reveal to himself. Friends become enemies and enemies become lovers. It's a lot.
Yeah, it reads like an autobiography. It almost reads like a 50 Shades of Red, but I won't get into.
There you go.
Yes, so it is different. It's not for your teens. I know you're not reading these books to your children at night,
No.
for bedtime stories. It is more adult, but it does keep you pulled in. So,
and my friend Christine, she likes them, and it's not even her genre.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I met her at one of the signings and we talked about that a little bit. That was really nice.
I mentioned her a lot on here because she's a reader. She's a good reader. She loves to read. Okay, so tell us more about what you're working on. So you're working on the fourth book.
Yeah.
Are you in that, knowing that you're gonna have 5 books, do you know what direction you're taking them?
Yes, I do know the ending for the series.
Okay, and that's why I'm kind of being vague. I don't want to give a lot away.
Yeah.
I want people to go and dive into the book. So we're not going to ask you to tell us the ending.
Right.
But going through book 4, where are you taking us?
So in book 4, he's learning more about some of these secrets that you kind of get. The first few books, you kind of pick up on that. There's things that he's not been told about why.
Yeah, you're talking about with his family too,
yeah,
correct?
Yeah, things about why he's been turned and stuff about his past that they've kind of hid from him. And there's a whole group called the Genesis that wants him for some nefarious reason, and he can't figure it out why, because he's not privy to all the secrets and deceit. So he's trying to uncover that, and he really figures out the main reason in book 4, toward the end of book 4, and then kind of all of it comes to a head in book 5.
Nice. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, a lot of the books kind of don't end really on a cliffhanger, but with a something's coming kind of ending.
Yeah.
Like, but book 5 will end satisfactory. You won't be.
Yeah, you don't want to disappoint those readers being like,
no. It's the only one that has a nice, solid sounding end.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen the Netflix show Midnight Mass?
I have not.
I have.
Okay. I don't know why, because it ain't really the same, but it kind of reminds me of that. And I'm like, oh, it's only got 7 videos. I don't want to give it away in case nobody's ever seen it, but it is about vampires, and it's just as everything's unveiled. So, but yeah, I love this stuff.
Well, yeah, it's about, yeah.
Yeah, check it out.
I want to know, like, your writing process. Like, I know, like, Carissa writes late at night. I will write early in the morning. Do you have a writing regimen? We were talking before this. Do you do it at a desk? Do you do it in bed? Do you have every day this hour you're always writing? What is your process?
Mine is chaotic. When I can, where I can. I don't have a desk. A very limited space. Every space in my house seems to be occupied by some sort of child's thing.
Yeah.
And so this year I started homeschooling too. I have a job, I have 4 kids, and now I'm homeschooling. So I'm really pressed for time. I do try to write on my lunch break and any time that the kids are not going to be here. Like, used to be when they were at school, but.
If you're writing on your lunch break, are you doing it with thumbs on your iPhone? Or are you in text-to-speech? Do you take your laptop?
No, I just use the computer there at work, but I email myself my own thing, my own Word document, and then I email it back to myself at the end of the day. A lot of emails back and forth to myself. But that's nice too, because if my laptop would stop working or something, I do have a copy of it in my email somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've done that
Google
before.
Docs, baby.
Right.
Word does the same thing. It saves it in the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, does it? I haven't used Word for years. Daniel,
we're gonna have to go over like this in one podcast on saving your work in the cloud and knowing how you can access it and being able to.
Yeah.
So what is your biggest obstacle as an author?
Oh, it's definitely time. I am very pressed for time. I'm not a morning person, so I can't get up before the kids and work. I would do better writing after they go to bed. Because I'm definitely not.
2 against 1.
2 points, Carissa. 1 point, Jamie.
Dang it.
I'm pretty
I hate you,
Not
ladies.
even my dogs come by me when I'm in the morning. They already know. They already know.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
They come and lay by me real gently when I'm sitting on the couch in the morning.
So when you do get started writing at lunchtime, do you feel like you're like, oh, I'm in the moment and I can't get out of it? Like, I can't turn it off. Like, if I'm flowing, I will shut down. I will not teach for a week and then write. Of course, I don't have a lot of kids running around and doing that, and luckily I work from home with teaching voice. But how do you stop it? You get back to work and there's ideas, and it would be tough for me to do that.
It can be tough. Like you said, I do have a bunch of kids, so I'm kind of used to stopping and then starting again later. So I guess I just got in the habit of that. Now, I do sometimes when I'm in like my car, I have a little voice recorder with me, and I will record dialogue or something that I really need to keep in mind, like a setting or any kind of storyline that I want to record.
Good, because I'm thinking you would be like, if you forget something, like, oh, what was that scene?
Yes,
Sorry, Chris.
It happens sometimes. I'm in the middle of the night. I'm really snug in my bed. It's really warm. I'm cozy. I don't want to get up. And I'm like, I'll remember this in the morning. And then you get up in the morning
and you never do.
I don't remember any of that.
I text myself at night So, like, because my phone's right next to me. So when I'm trying to fall asleep and those good ideas pop in, I'll just text my own number, like, oh, there's a good idea. And then I send it because I won't remember it.
Yep.
Someday they'll come up with a device that we could sleep with. It just goes across our little temple, and then it just like produces these AI images of what we were thinking while we were dreaming, and the thought process
Yeah.
comes out in words.
But Katie be like, "Ooh, I can't type that. I can't put that in a book. I think some weird stuff at night when I'm sleeping.
You're like,
I know that's not
wow.
what happened to me." You'd be like, "Nope."
I
I'll be like,
mean,
wow, I thought that really sounded good last night. Wow, that was weird.
it didn't look so great out on paper.
Yeah, like, wow, that's not quite right.
Nobody else could see this.
But yeah, I wish I had a real method. I did try once to write down a list of characters and like, all their physical details and personality things, just trying to make like a log so I could refer to it later if I needed to, because especially the side characters that don't get mentioned as much. I got about 5 characters on that list. And
well, then how do you keep track of everything from book to book then? Because I
if I
forget.
can't remember, I have to go back and try to find it.
Yeah.
But
No, I have to read. I'll reread and put a list like that just because I will totally forget.
It sounded really good in practice, and it made a lot of sense, and it would have worked, but I just can't stay. It's really weird because I'm organized in almost every other facet of my life, but this one.
I thought maybe I found somebody more ADHD than me, but apparently that's not it.
It's just chaos.
That's funny. Well, so then when you talk about like not being as organized in that facet, do you not organize like your character lists and how you dress them or how you present them? Do you have like anything that reminds you how your person that you're describing is? Like, I know this person, it's from first person, but if he describes a character or whatever, do you have notes for that?
No, not really. So
You just remember this from memory.
Yeah, I just try to remember it, and then if I have a question like, "Oh, what color was her eyes?" I'll just open my old document and then click the find, and I'll type in something that I know is really close, something I know is really close to when he meets that character, so that I can just scroll through a couple pages and find them and figure it out.
I could see that working if you're very visual and like you love these movies, like you're a Star Wars fan, you know everything, and so you don't have to go back to Star Wars to remember what happened in the desert when Obi-Wan Kenobi met, Luke Skywalker. So if you're that involved in it, yes. But heck, I'll watch Netflix and I'll forget the next day what was on the show. I just can't keep up. So more power to you. I wish I could be like that.
Yeah, you got to visualize it sometimes so that way you remember the what they look like. So okay, then so you don't do that part. Okay, then it might be easier for you when you edit. Am I freezing?
No.
Okay, you're okay.
You both were laughing, so I'm like, wait, am I freezing?
Well, we're just laughing at her not her having this photographic memory. I have photographic memory. I just don't have any film. But
I think
wait a minute.
it's because I do like when I hear it in my head, it's like a movie, so that helps because
that's how it is for me.
See them in my head, so that helps. And then yeah, if it's a character that, especially the side characters, sometimes I have to look them back up. But.
Yeah. I can totally relate to that, but sometimes I do have to go back and be like, oh gosh, did I make that a brown jacket or was that a gray jacket with a brown accent?
Yeah, right.
Like I visualize it. Yeah, I feel like I do that, but sometimes when you get life overtakes it, you kind of forget sometimes what that exact image was.
Yeah. No, my thing you mentioned about editing, I find when I edit, because I don't really have a storyline written out, I usually find like, oh, I already talked about this. So then I have to change it a little bit so I don't keep repeating the same kind of thing over and over. Like, yeah, that's a good line, but I've used it.
Well, but I think we all three use Rich Dalglish, so you have the butcher. So trust me, if it's in there more than 3 times, he's cutting it out.
Yeah.
Did that bother you your first time your book was edited?
Oh, the very first time, I think I went through all the stages of grief. Like,
me too.
I was in denial. I was I was defensive. I was sad. I was like, oh,
Oh, I hated Rich. I mean, he cut out like 15,000 words or something, and I thought I was
We've all
going to
been
have a
through it. Like, and it's the
stroke.
thing, you have to
Yeah.
accept. Yeah.
yeah,
You have to
it's all
accept it.
good cause.
But
Yeah.
I bet you read through it afterwards. He's like, oh,
It's not that
okay,
bad.
because I didn't really miss
Okay,
anything.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Oh,
There
and
are
just so
little
you
babies.
know, if there's any weird freezy spots, I can go in there now and I can edit them. So we'll probably edit this little space. So don't, if we see where Jamie was freezing, we're both like,
Yeah. We
what's
usually just leave him to be goofy, or she
Yeah.
does. I'm like, yeah, I'm
Well,
cool with it.
because that's just us. But when it's Katie, we want to make sure we split that gap.
Yeah. I might have like 6 spider eyes on me or something like that one time.
Listen, that was Instagram.
Oh,
I
that's
don't even.
right.
And the thing is, if it was a filter, it would have given me the eyes. It just gave it to you.
I think it just locks onto one person at a time.
Well, the irony was if you actually watch the video in the very beginning, that's the one where you're messing with your eye. And so I'm like, if you go to the video, you'll see that he hadn't really had something in his eye because he had 6 of them.
Yep. So I was like,
I kept it because it was funny.
so if book 4 is coming out in 2024, how long before we get to know the end? You don't know. Have you started writing it? I mean, like for me, I'll simultaneously write books in a series. So
I have to do one.
He's not finished, and he's not finished his series except for like a couple. So
yeah.
he sits there and tells you this, but then he hasn't really finished any of the ones that
I
we put
finished
on
a
the burner.
couple. Yeah, but here's the thing. I have to go back. Here's the big chore for me. Even though I have my character list, I'll have to go back and read it and watch the movie in my mind like you do to get into it, and I'll check my character list and be like, yes, and I'll get into it, and I guarantee you I will take a week off from teaching, and I'll be like, I'll turn off my phone and say, don't call me, and I'll go nuts.
All right. Bet.
Okay. Sometime soon. Early next year, I'm doing it. Age of the Sigil.
Okay. Yes.
Well, I can only write one at a time. Probably because I don't have a real storyline, and I'm making it up as I go, making up the details. But I'm hoping, you know how like when you're writing, you start off really good and strong, and you're like all the time, and then it kind of slacks off a little in the middle.
It's when she's bored,
right?
Not inspired.
And you're like, I'm almost done. I'm hoping that the whole last novel is like that. Like, oh, I'm almost done with this.
Well, you know what? It's harder on you ladies because you write like 500-page novels. I'm like, I'm done in like 130 pages because that's my mindset, like a movie book. So it's easy for me. For you, yeah, that's crazy.
So Jamie tried to sneak something in there, and it's not going to work because I caught it. But okay, Katie, let's see if Kathryn, let's see if we are on the same page here. Do you believe writer's block exists?
In a manner. For me, it's not that the ideas are gone, it's that the mood is gone. You have to have the right setting for inside yourself to do it.
You got to be inspired.
If you can't get it going, then it's hard to do. And sometimes you just keep typing and it'll push through and you'll be fine. But you do definitely get like an emotional mental block where you're not.
That's all Chris I want to hear. If you said the word block, she feels like she won.
Yes, it is.
But you
I just
said
heard the word block over boredom.
It's not ideas that's blocked. It's the process is blocked.
See? That's what I said, Jamie. It's not that the fact that she doesn't have it in her head, she's blocked from putting it on paper or onto the computer.
Yeah. She's just bored. She's not inspired.
Not bored? She wants to write it. She's not bored of writing. She wants to write. She just can't get the little...
She's bored of it not coming out, is what it is.
He thinks it's boredom.
I know it's boredom.
Boredom.
You know what? Throw me under the bus. I knew 2 for 2.
I know. She's a late night person and she's a non-boredom person.
Yeah. It's not boredom.
That's all right. I'm totally fine with both you ladies being wrong twice today. So it's good. So,
You know,
my wife will watch
I can
this.
delete you from. I can delete you from this podcast. I'd be like, sorry, you're no longer in this party.
Listen,
Oh, you broke up.
my wife will watch this and be like, because she said it before. Why did you say writer's block doesn't exist? And I think I told you. I said, how would you know? You haven't written a book. You don't say that to your wife. Husbands,
No,
listen, they're always right. So just let it go. Always right.
always
Bam.
right.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, let's see here. What haven't we talked about? Tell us what you are outside of an author.
So I do radiation treatments for cancer patients.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's what I do for my day job. And
that's probably pretty like emotional itself.
it can be. It's when you're there. The patients are pretty inspiring because a lot of them are really, they got hit with some really devastating news, and not all of them have the same level of positive prognosis. Some of them don't have a good prognosis at all, but they're there and they're trying, and just the fact that they're pushing through is pretty inspiring, and it's good to be there to offer them hope. And sometimes they just need someone to listen to them without pitying them. They don't want, their family just feels sad and wants to pity them sometimes, and sometimes they just want someone to treat them like they're normal.
That they're not, that they don't, they're not going through that. That makes sense.
So it's nice to be there for them for that. I don't ever really see the end on the bad prognosis, because generally people, when they get further along, go into hospice. I don't know that I could handle working in hospice.
Yeah.
But working with cancer patients can be very, very rewarding. So I like what I do.
Have you ever thought about, and I'm not saying any particular patient, you went right into it, but has this or will it inspire any writing? Like, will there be scenes that deal with anything from that you relate to in your life, whether it be, working with cancer patients, having kids, living out in, what is that, northwestern Ohio? I forget where you live, like Peebles or somewhere.
In Southern Ohio.
Yeah, I live in Southern Ohio. We live right by each other, Jamie.
Yeah, but it's like a half an hour from here, so it feels like it's way north. It took me like an hour to get to see you at the book signing.
I was in Adams County, so that was far for me.
You're in Lucasville, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Never mind. I don't know why I thought you were so far north. So
I'm south.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Now that everyone knows where I'm from, they can find my address and be stopped.
Yes. Hey, it's one way to gain fans.
That's okay.
I moved another state away from my stalker. No.
Yeah, you did.
Well,
Southern Ohio, too. Franklin Furnace. There. Now we'll both be attacked.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I already did one of my random questions I wanted to ask you. Do you have anything planned once you're done with Nicholas Ryder?
I do. I don't want to give away too much, but I do
have like a little bit of a morsel, something.
So I'll give you a little bit. So,
okay.
I do have another series. I'm wanting 3 books in it, but I don't have the whole storyline for all 3, so that might change. But it'll be post-apocalyptic, and it's going to have zombies and vampires and humans, and it's going to be really good.
That's cool.
It's
nice. Really
yeah.
Are you going to do like a weird crossover with some of the characters from your Solus series?
I don't believe I am.
Just completely standalone on itself, a new series?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've thought about it, but I don't think I'm going to. I think it's just going to be a story.
Yeah, it could be very underworld, like, or even like Resident Evil, like Raccoon City. Oh, okay.
So it's going to be in Portsmouth.
I wanted the Suboxone.
It's already set up. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, here's another question that I thought of. Give us your author outside of your own work that has inspired you, that you like to read for leisure.
So I've been thinking about that all day. I don't really have an author, like one author. I really like just supernatural type genre as a whole. So some people that I like, how do you say her name? Maggie Stiefvater, something like that. I don't know. I like her a lot. She writes a lot of werewolf stuff. I like Patricia Briggs. She writes some stuff. The Mercy Thompson series has fae and monsters and lots of different things. I read a book the other day called This Dark Endeavor, and it was about the apprenticeship of Victor Frankenstein, and it was really neat. I really liked it. And then I have a book back here that you probably can't see by another local author, Brenna Butler. She wrote, it has vampires and Mothman. It was a lot of fun. It was fun.
Oh.
So I just kind of like to just stay in the genre, but just get a lot of different types of stories.
With that said, then, when you need a little bit of like inspiration kick, do you listen to certain types of music or watch certain types of shows? What do you do to kind of vitalize some of your inspiration when you're writing?
So sometimes I will watch any kind of dark, murdery type show.
We all love them.
I like them a lot. But, some of them where the characters, nobody really has any redeeming qualities, and they're all sort of self-absorbed, and, murder at will is great. Because it helps get me in that mood, that mindset that a vampire would want to be in. They are very self-absorbed, and they're used to getting what they want. So they just take.
That's cool. So did you watch any of the Fae type series, like the Winx thing on Netflix?
I didn't watch Winx. That's a cartoon, I think.
The one I watched was
it's the one I'm thinking of, is a cartoon.
Well, yeah, no, they have a show on Netflix.
Yeah, they have. I watched the live action version.
Oh, okay. See, I don't have Netflix, so I don't know this one's. But I watch a lot of horror shows on Hulu.
Yeah,
that's what I do. Cool. But I do have Prime too, so I watch stuff on that. I was watching. I'm really bad with names of things off the top of my head. Prime had a Fae series that I really liked, but I can't think of what it's called now.
I don't usually watch anything on Amazon Prime except for that show Evil.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen that one either.
That is really good. It's got 3 or 4 seasons, and I'm just waiting for the next season. It's pretty good. You guys would probably like that. It's got a very angels, demons kind of vibe with some weird sacrifice stuff going on.
So I will check that out.
It's just another Tuesday.
Yep. Yep. So, okay, we've heard all these things. So what is your most rewarding part about being an author?
So it's got to be when the fans come up and tell you how much they enjoy it. That has to be it. I mean, it's really satisfying when you finish the book, and it's always satisfying when you get the edited copy back, and it's always satisfying when you get your copies in the mail. But when people come up and tell you that they enjoyed it, that just blows everything out of the water.
Yeah, it's worth it. So worth it for that fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you deal with reviews then? Have you had the negative review that you're like, oh.
I've had one that really sticks out in my head that I think I just want to shake my head at it. Really?
Trolls.
Troll.
So the thing is, I know the girl. I know her, and I thought, really, if you didn't like it, then you shouldn't. Just don't write anything, please. You know me.
Did your mama not teach you if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all? Don't write that review either.
What got me was she said it was predictable, which I don't feel like it is, but
not even close.
The other books on her it was on Goodreads, so you can see what other books she has read. They were all Nicholas Sparks books, and I was like, "You like
That's predictable."
Yes.
I was like,
that's like Hallmark in a book.
Liked it or not.
Yeah.
But that one always sticks out to me because I'm like, I don't know if this is even real. Maybe.
Yeah, that happened to me with a girl. Yeah, my nemesis from high school. Yeah, but they hid their name for a couple years. So
Yeah.
they gave me a 2-star review and was like saying all these things, and like it was very personal how they did it. It's still on my Amazon if anybody wants to go read it. Because I didn't like report it or anything. I'm like, you know what? You can tell that you're being personal here, that this is a personal review at a 2. And
Yeah.
then they blocked their names so you couldn't see who they were. But like a couple years later, I went and I'm like, oh, I wonder. And then their last name was on there. I'm like, I know who you are.
I know
Like, I
you.
know this is personal, but I don't care.
Yeah, but the negative reviews are hard. They're hard to
Mhm.
hear. And you know, the reality is you can't please everybody. Not everybody's gonna like the same thing. You know, it could be the topic, it could be the style, it could be the way you word things. You know, it could just be just about anything.
And not everybody likes vampires. So if you don't like vampires, don't read it.
Yeah, if you don't like vampires, don't bother because
Yeah, like
they're the
this not.
first person perspective. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so that I feel like that's kind of like fair too. I've seen people give reviews. They're like, "This isn't my normal genre, so I'm going to give it a 3." So wait a minute, that's not even fair.
Why did you read it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, but you know it happens. I've had one. My first book's nonfiction. Raise Your Voice, and it's 400 pages. And this guy said, "I'll give it a 3-star because there was about 30 pages worth of useful information." And my students who owned the book, several like just slamming this guy. I'm like, leave him alone. He's allowed to have his opinion.
Yeah.
It don't affect me. But I did go on because they kept going, and I said it wasn't even a verified purchase. Cares?
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to make or break your book. A lot of times they will get curious. They'll go to the negative reviews and be like, really? I got to read this because it's going to be trash. And then you'll get a good review out of it. Someone will buy your book because of that negative review. It's okay.
Oh yeah, some people just want to build they want to tear you down just so they feel better the fact that they've not written a book.
Yeah, that happens too.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's just like, you know, a book I read in high school isn't going to hit me the same as it hits me now. So I might have thought some book in high school was really boring, and now it's going to make me cry because it hits different.
Yeah, you've experienced life different because certain parts that may have been emotional.
Yeah. It might just not be the right time for the book.
So that's a question. I know we want to probably go a little longer on when we have guests on, but something I wanted to ask you about your characters when we were talking about naming them. Your books go through different time periods of Nicholas Ryder's life, correct?
Yes.
So each book is a different time period. And so did you do a lot of research in those time periods to make sure that you were following what was kind of like that era?
Some of them. Definitely the 40s took the most research. The cars, the guns, everything took a lot more research. As we get closer to the
Modern
90s
times
and the 2000s, it's a lot easier.
Oh yeah, because you remember those.
That's a lot easier. Did they have a choker collar? Yes.
On goth.
You don't have you're in your room and I see that your book covers are on your wall. Do you have your actual books around you anywhere?
Yeah, these are actually my actual books. So these two are just standing up, and this one is actually taped to the wall.
Oh, I thought it was posters.
No, it's a misprint, so the inside of it is trash, and I taped it right to the wall.
Oh, that's cool. No, I love the book covers.
So it's
so you work with Molly Burnside, who does all my nonfiction covers, and you're going.
Ryder, his real name is Vincent, but through all 5 books, his name is Nicholas. Now, he did say in that he changed his name at some point before the first book, but I wanted to keep the same name through all of them so it wouldn't be confusing. Now, at the end of the 5th book, he does say what his next name is. So
cool.
He is changing his name at the end of that. So.
Oh.
Yeah, Chris, you're still dark.
Well, hopefully it's still recording, so let's pretend that it is. If it's still recording, this is her first book. And then here's her other 2 books.
Yes.
Yeah.
Turn on a flashlight.
I can't see it, but yep.
Yeah, but if you can't see them,
Like, I'm still seeing everything on my screen.
You
Listen,
can always go to Amazon.
this one's going to be launched next week before the others. Once I go through, edit everything, I'm going to put a link on there so people can go to Amazon and find your stuff. It'll be in the podcast notes down in the bottom.
Awesome. There's also a link to the blog.
Good.
Oh,
And
have
the
you
blog
been blogging?
is just journal entry.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
For Nicholas Ryder.
So the blog entries are just journal entries that take place outside of the book. So they're all by Nicholas
tied together.
Ryder.
Oh, nice.
And they're none of them are spoilers because they're all outside of the books. But it gives you something to kind of read in between.
Oh.
No, I thought that's a brilliant idea.
That is a great idea. Because I think
of them. There's like over 70 now.
Oh, yeah.
It's like over 70.
It's like your alter ego as a vampire,
So,
a male vampire.
A male vampire. Yeah.
Yes. I'm a mom by day. I'm a male vampire by night. So, where else can we find you? Besides Vendera Publishing, Amazon, how do we find you on Facebook? Why I had all these links?
I do have a Facebook page and I have a website, and then of course the blog has its own link.
And spell the website name for us.
It is just www, and then Kathryn Horsley, Kathryn. Horsley is HORSLEY, and it's just .net. And that should take you right there, and it would have all the links to Facebook and blog links. They're all on there. Everything has links for everything else. So if you find one, you found them all.
Sweet.
Good. So now my ADHD is kicking in because your audio just changed. And you sound like this.
It sounded very AI. Yeah.
Sound of it. Yes. Don't want to give away your.
Kathryn, it has been so good to have you on. And then once you have your 4th book out, what were you going to say?
I was going to say we couldn't hear you, so we're just going to say I know what she's saying. Kathryn, it's been so good that we've had you on here. Go ahead, Chris, so we can hear you now.
That's exactly what I said.
And now we can't. Yeah, but we couldn't hear you.
Oh my gosh! Listen, for those listening, we had some.
I love it. I love this kind of stuff.
Technical issues, though. We had technical issues even trying to get Kathryn into this because it was not wanting to cooperate. So, yes, when your new book is out, we'll have to have you back on here so you can kind of like do a little launch for us. So
I'll have to do that. Definitely need a really good proper launch for this one.
So that means within exactly. So within the next 3 to 4 months, you'll be back on.
Yeah.
And everyone get everyone into this series.
Yes.
Yeah, it's and I love Vampires Werewolves, one of my favorite series, and I'm very picky, so love it.
All right. Well, thank you again to all of our listeners.
All right.
For listening. If they can't hear me at this moment, they're just going to have to pretend. Okay.
We can hear you.
All right. So you can follow us on all of our social media. It's Always Right Podcast. We are on Spotify. We are on Amazon Music. We are on Apple Podcasts. And you can also follow our YouTube channel at Always Right Podcast. Make sure you look for Always Right Podcast. We also have a website, alwaysrightpodcast.com. Take you to our landing page, and you can click any of those things. You can contact us. You can ask about like your own books. You can ask us questions about Kathryn's books. Anything you want to ask us about that pertains to writing, about the publishing, or our podcast, we are more than happy to respond. And so with that said, thank you, Kathryn, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
And as always, I am author Carissa DeLay signing off. Yes, absolutely. And this is my co-host,
Jamie Vendera.
You took forever. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I was really quick on my end. It was like Jamie Vendera. So I think it's just the latency. I love it.
Oh, I'm used to delays, so it's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
You got a lot of delays at your house.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Until next time.